tank!
Seems like just about every system is launched with a game that initially looks to have limited appeal, but eventually builds a cult following and becomes successful. Usually these games have a unique concept and a low price tag, and with Tank 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 for the Wii U, at least half of that equation is satisfied. Is it a launch darling or day one dud?
Bring it down!
There's really no story in Tank Tank Tank. Various robotic creatures are attacking the area and you must repel the onslaught. After each mission, you're taken to a static screen for encouragement and tips to help you going forward, but that's about it.
Select your tank.
The design isn't much more complicated. You select a tank, choose a stage, and start blowing things up. There's a multitude of different tanks to unlock, with each having its own attributes that will level up with repeated use. Stages are generally unlocked as you complete the prior mission, but the game includes choke points where you're forced to go back and play old levels with new tanks in order to move forward. It's a cheap way to extend the game's length, and since new tanks are generally more powerful, there's simply no challenge involved. It's a huge waste of time.
Mobilize immediately. Exterminate them.
The multiplayer modes are a little more diverse. You get the typical deathmatch variants, but you can also play a separate campaign cooperatively with friends, but it essentially recycles the same missions from the single-player experience. The lone mode that has some semblance of creativity has one player using the gamepad to play as a large robotic Kong with their face plastered on it, while the other players try to topple it. Despite the interesting bent, it also lacks staying power. After playing Tank 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 for far too many hours, it's pretty obvious that it's been made for younger players. You steer and shoot, and that's about it. All the targeting is automatic, which can be infuriating when you're trying to drop those last few robots with the timer running out. There's some light use of the gamepad's gyro here or there, but otherwise, the game can be played with the D-pad and one button. Weapons are plentiful, and finding out what each one does represents a large chunk of the fun to be had, but there's not much. A distinct lack of difficulty makes it quickly feel like you're just going through the motions.
Direct hit!
You're completely forgiven if you mistake Tank 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 for a last-generation game. Its colors are much more vivid, and the resolution is higher, but everything is rendered using the lowest polygon count possible. The audio is passable, though there's very little voice acting, and the sound of firing the weapons will quickly pass its expiration date.
Move out!
Tank 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 is hard to recommend on any level. It's short on content, fails to take much advantage of the Wii U hardware, lacks gameplay depth, and quickly becomes monotonous. It holds some charm for those who enjoy massive creature flicks, but everyone else should steer clear despite its discounted price tag. Launch day surprise, this is not.
Mission terminated.